Welcome back, everybody. Today we are reviewing the new Motiv Supra Enzo. If you like what we do, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and check us out on Patreon. First impressions, the Supra Enzo looks so good. Is there anything it can't do? Okay, let's jump in. I may have overplayed my hand in the initial impression, but let's get into what we saw with the Motiv Supra Enzo. First off, I love the racing reference. The ball has super nice shelf appeal if you're into that. The Supra Enzo looks to be a straight replacement of the Supra in the Motiv's lineup as opposed to a line mate. It's because it's not there anymore. So putting a hybrid in the flippy as part of their medium-low volume ball guide. And here's the interesting thing. The Supra Enzo is very predictable. And not just predictable, it matched up so well, and therefore carry was extremely high. We test on the same shot all the time, and this is one of the better matchups I can remember to this particular house shot shape. I played direct, worked my way in. As you saw, most of the time on balls work direct in the friction for me. That means it's a low volume ball, which typically has limited use when there isn't enough friction. So I wasn't expecting much when the Supra Enzo looked spectacular from direct, but guess what? I kept moving right, and it kept making it back. Actually, I slowed it down a little bit as I moved in to make sure it turns over, and it actually promptly went to the face, so I didn't need to slow it down. The thing has an angularity that I think is the sweet spot. It's angular without having that feeling where it might push through the spot. In fact, it never felt that way. I don't think I threw one light shot even at the fourth arrow, and it's a very different feel to any of the pearls that Motiv has released. So somehow the blend of some solid into this infusion cover has kept it angular while making it more sure-footed to make the turn. It has that hallmark Motiv shape, and whatever Motiv did with the chemistry here, it's smart and it plain works. It had me thinking how I felt in terms of where it fits in the arsenal. Theoretically, if I match what Motiv said, I'd put it in the mid-late spot in the bag. But seeing how versatile it is, I couldn't help but wonder if it's a better fit for mid-control. Maybe it sounds a bit counterintuitive, but I like balls that are versatile and can be used often in the middle of the bag. And that's kind of felt like exactly what the Supra Enzo was doing. Yeah, as a practical matter, it's probably a mid-late spot. But seeing how versatile it is, I couldn't help but wonder if it could be a mid-control ball, because ultimately, it might sound counterintuitive, but you want the most versatile balls that can be used most often right in the middle of the bag, and the Supra Enzo kind of seemed almost like an obvious fit for that purpose on this particular house shot. So then the natural thought for me is, where does it fit next to the Ripcord Velocity, which I feel does fit straight in the mid-late category. And you know what, I'm not really sure. I mean, to me it's clear that the Velocity is that cleaner pearl look that is more flippy, but I kind of felt like it had a very specific window and needed some friction to respond as quick as you want a mid-late ball to respond later in a block. Bottom line, Velocity has a more specific purpose, I felt like, and it does feel more ball than the Enzo, so it's hard to say Enzo mid-control and Velocity mid-late is an obvious fit, but it's certainly possible. A quick look at the Trident horizon, and the delta is also very clear there. It is more ball than the Enzo, it's more ball than the Velocity. It's earlier and stronger, so in that regard, they could clearly relate actually that the horizon is a mid-defined with the Enzo being further down the line somewhere. As a medium-speed rev-dominant two-hander, the Supra Enzo was quite strong for me and definitively angular. I started somewhere around the fourth arrow and I just couldn't get it to hold pocket. It's too responsive. I moved another 7 boards with my feet, and then, somewhere between the fourth and fifth arrow was a really nice slot with a great motion. I never did it think about a 7-pin really, which can happen from that deep. In fact, shot I actually decided to stop on was an 8-pin, where I said, that's it, I don't need to slide into the next lane to keep it on the lane. But it was a very pretty motion, as ultimately pretty angular and capable. Bryan was next, and I have to say his look was as good as mine for his game. He could get it down lane while still seeing a defined motion with great carry. The motion is, I don't know, I don't want to say hard to explain. I mean, I spent a long time explaining it, but what I mean is it almost feels like a shined up solid. There is a clean look that doesn't read early, but still has predictable traction. So, Bryan can play close to the friction where it didn't read immediately, yet still popped at the right time. He also didn't need to use, the high outside friction to get drive. In other words, it blended the house clip very well. That's super important, and why I think this could be easily first ball out of the bag on house shots for a lot of people. You could straddle that house cliff, which is typically somewhere around the 8-9 board down lane, and not worry about overreaction to 5 and underreaction to 10. Finally, Bryan was able to make moves, make adjustments, push it in, go to the friction, but he will reach a limit in terms of moving in. But it's really fine because in terms of his game, it's not one where he wants or needs to cover lots of boards laterally. Just a quick look with the Trident Horizon, and again, no question, it's stronger overall. Starts up sooner, rolls a little heavier. And really, in terms of looking at the velocity, you saw the same thing. The velocity is sort of, I don't know what you want to say, cleaner, but I would say definitively, more responsive. But again, it has that risk of, coming a little bit behind the head pin if you push it into the oil a little bit, and then you're left with some ring 10 pins basically. Final thoughts. I really feel like the Motiv Supra Enzo is going to make a lot of bags. It's so easy to use. It blends the house cliff while still being angular. And that's such a rare combination. This is why I'm a little torn about fitting it in terms of mid-control versus mid-late shape in the arsenal. But with how easy it is to use, it might make itself a must regardless of where you fit it.